Alright, so let's just wait for a little while till we get some sort of a notification that people are joining. Oh, actually, I'm going to save this, so I shouldn't just start speaking. So, I have been getting a lot of messages in the recent past, especially in the past 2 weeks or so, that people want to pursue some sort of retention, some sort of discipline, self-discipline. People want to give up pornography, things like that. So I've been getting a lot of questions on what they can do to. Does it work? Firstly, does it work? Is it something that is useful? Is it something that would help you in any way? Then the answer is obviously definitely yes. It's going to help you. It's good for you. I know everyone's going to say hi, but I get slightly distracted if a question comes out of the blue. So I'm going to turn off the comments for a little while, and then we'll turn on the comments again. All right. Okay. So the question I've been getting a lot is, number one, a lot of people who are in the process of retention don't know how to cope with the added lust, the added tarak. So they want something to ease them, and that's when they fall back, and that's when they start doing the same thing again. So that's something we're going to talk about. We're also going to talk about the ramifications of pornography, how it hurts you, how it does not serve you anything substantially good for yourself, for your body, for your soul. If you don't want to believe in that, for your body also, pornography is not something that you should be watching, even biologically for your brain, even if you minus the masturbation act along with it. All of this is very strange because I've been getting these questions very specifically for the past 2 weeks, and at the same time I've been seeing a lot of millennial doctors recommend one degeneracy after the other. So I recently was sent a video by some millennial doctor who's not even a doctor, who's a student right now, and under the guise of sex positivity, they keep flooding out video after video about whether people should have anal sex, people should have oral sex. I mean, sure, sex education and all is very important, but you don't want that to be through someone else, through a doctor of all people, to see whatever your stance. Let me be a little more diplomatic because I can be extremely harsh with my words sometimes. Let me be a little more diplomatic. Whatever your personal take on pornography is, and whether you want to follow the advice of people who tell you tell you that there might be some sort of healthy benefits to things that I personally, in my personal life, don't think that there would be any benefits to the actions prescribed by these doctors and these influencers. Degeneracy of any manner, I think, in the long run is almost exclusively going to make you an unhappy and a sick person, mentally and physically both. So I want to dissect firstly why pornography is bad for you and why you should not watch pornography, and if you do, you should stop immediately. And when did I start watching pornography? Maybe when I was young, maybe when the internet was starting. And for the longest period of my life, I actually thought there was nothing wrong with it. I, for the longest period, thought that it's a sense of, it's just there. It's just technology. You don't really think about these things in that aspect. Does it have an effect on you? Is it bad for you? You were a kid when you started watching it. So we don't philosophize these things. We don't sit down in our childish brain and we don't think to ourselves, what you're doing might really be wrong. So since we don't do that and we make it a habit in that infantile mind, in that juvenile mind, we make it a habit, it becomes difficult for when you grow up to let go of childish desires, of childish things, of small pleasures. These are small pleasures, That's just a 15-minute pleasure for you, and after that you feel horrible. So it's not good for you because it's immediately reflective after the act that it's not good for you. You feel bad, right? You don't feel good about anything. You don't feel good about the world. You don't feel good about yourself. And the act itself becomes something that you detest. You hate yourself when you look at yourself in that condition. You're like, the fuck did I do? Why did I do that? And you do that because your conscience is there to remind you that, yes, there is nothing fruitful that came out of this small act of pleasure that you performed on yourself. autoeroticism of any kind is generally to be avoided at all costs. Pornography, how it works on your brain is very fascinating because it makes you see unattainable human sexual interactions as something that are normal. So you would crave them in your normal life. And when you start watching pornography, you start with simplistic pornography, and then it becomes more complex. It becomes more of a reflection of your own, because your brain, all right, serotonin, dopamine, whatever, your brain when you're watching pornography is obviously releasing, your pleasure sensors are activated. All right, and when your pleasure sensors are activated externally, when your pleasure sensors are activated only through visual, you don't have a person over there, you're watching something through a screen. Since there is no person over there, your pleasure sensors are artificially activated, something that human beings are not programmed, something human beings have never felt before. This is for the first time. So your brain starts forming these connections, let's say, and over time those connections need reinforcement because it's not something that's happening in real life, it's happening over the internet, it's not happening, it's a virtual thing, it's not real. Pornography is not real, firstly. All right, and your brain cannot form, or your brain cannot release the same neurochemicals it released when you started watching, because like a habit, right? Habits, you start with one cigarette, but you end up smoking 10 cigarettes at some point because you became habituated to it, because your body needs more of it now than it did when you started. So now your preference in pornography would also change. You would start gravitating towards things that are more unnatural. For example, BDSM is one of the things. BDSM is very popular. To bridge the boundaries between pleasure and pain. It didn't happen naturally. That's not something you naturally experience. It's something that artificially you have made your brain believe because you were not satisfied, like a habit. See, it gets more extreme. You start with one cigarette, you extend to 10 cigarettes. You start with one peg, you end at 5 pegs. So it's never enough. That's why you gravitate towards more and more extreme forms of pornography. That's after a point of time. It will be very difficult for you to get it up without having those same scenarios replicated in real life. That's how kinks manifest. That's why kinky people, kinks, perverted fantasies, that's how they manifest. Because you can't differentiate virtual reality from real reality, and you want to replicate the same acts that you watched someone else perform in real life. And that is not healthy for you, because that is not healthy human sexuality. All right? And doctors, and millennial doctors very specifically, who keep telling you to be more and more degenerate, you should shun them. Tell them to shut the fuck up. Don't be a degenerate. Don't make your life only about sex. That's a very strange fucking way to live your life. That's a very that's a very animalistic way to live your life. And yes, there are animalistic aspects of you, but they are there for a reason, to keep in check, to be utilized only at certain times. Those animalistic instincts should only be utilized under very, very dire circumstances, not something that you should make a trend of your life. So pornography. So that's what it does. It makes your pleasure sensors, it makes you gravitate towards more and more unnatural forms, so that you could satisfy the same cravings that you could satisfy earlier with maybe just a photo. Maybe once you could just wank looking at a photo, now you can wank looking at a photo, now you need a video. So it's degeneracy. It is a downward spiral. It doesn't stay the same. It's a downward spiral. You don't want that for yourself. Now, there are many reasons why you would want to abstain from watching pornography, and there are many reasons why you would want to preserve your seed, preserve your semen, seminal retention, brahmacharya, whatever you want to call it. And there are countless benefits over the internet, and if you are already watching this video, if you're interested in this topic, you've already done some sort of research on this already. Alright, so I am not going to say the same things again. I'm not going to tell you you're going to get superpowers after 55 days. You might, but I'm not going to say that. Alright, and what it does for you, what it experientially does for you immediately, is that the first 21 days are the most difficult for most people. to stop, to wean yourself off these hobbies, these habits that don't serve you any good. So the first 21 days are very difficult, where you have to convince yourself. The first thing I would do is, if you have pornography on your system, in your computer, in your phone, delete it immediately. That temptation is going to bite you. You will not be able to give it up, because you will fall back to it, because it's easily available to you. So delete. All right. Do not be persuaded by small flights of fancies to start going back on that downward spiral. It's difficult. I'm not going to deny that it's not difficult. It is, of course, difficult. It's energy. All right. Your sperm, your semen, it has energy. It's got living life form in it. All right. Those are living things. Sperms, living, alive. All right. So they have some sort of biological. They have some sort of, I wouldn't say identity, that would be too strong a word, but they have the genetic material to form an identity. So they are the condensed genetic material of an actualized human being. All right. So it has a lot of power. It has energy. Energy is the way you would understand it. And energy is all that there is. So you have this energy that alchemizes in your body. Your body is like a chemistry beaker. So this energy alchemizes in your body, and it becomes your semen. All right. It's also called the diamond. So it becomes your seminal fluid. This energy, you have alchemized it. Your body has alchemized it with your diet, with your day-to-day habits. You have alchemized it. I also find it particularly strange how this ties parallel to how men are now losing their testosterone at a rate where you cannot. No one could have expected. The way things are going, every country would become Japan at some point or the other. So there is an infertility crisis among men that is not really spoken about as much, and porn is never taken into account for this sort of crisis that men might be going through. On the other hand, people are promoting this. People promote things like masturbation. Oh, it's very good for you. No, it's not. And you were a kid when you started it, and you shouldn't do it. If you're still a kid, or if you're an adult, you shouldn't do it. So this power, this power that you've alchemized in your body, that you've converted unconsciously, obviously, your body's autonomic functions have converted this energy into this physical residue that you can see. When you stop spilling it out, that power sort of accumulates in your nether regions. All right. And that power can unlock doorways of perceptual reality for you. I know things like dimension might be a very silly word because Sadhguru has overused it, but there is inherently it's very difficult to, even with my language, even with having such a strong grasp on English, it's still very difficult for me to condense these things into words. It's literally very difficult. There are no words, especially in the English language, which is very reductionist by its nature. So this energy sort of accumulates over here. Since you're not spilling it out, since you're not throwing it out, since you're not using it for small pleasures of 15-20 minutes, it keeps accumulating over here. And once it starts accumulating, it is very natural to feel a certain degree of hypersexuality. It is no different than your body going through a purge of sorts. All right, that's why people who do drugs have withdrawal symptoms. You are having withdrawal symptoms. So it's very natural once you stop masturbating to become extremely horny for extended periods of time, and for you to not be able to handle it, and that's why you would fall down, because you're in a withdrawal phase. Alright, so it's very important to channelize that energy, because it's only accumulating. If it only accumulates, it is very dangerous for you. You will keep falling back on the same path, you will keep falling back on the same road, you will keep walking on the same highway. So to change your direction, you have to use it in conjunction with the rest of your body. The energy is assimilating, that is something that you're sure about, because you feel extensively horny. Alright, so the energy is assimilating, that is a symptom. You should be happy that you're feeling that. Now, how do you fix that? One of the ways that you fix that, one of the ways that has helped a lot of people who ask me these questions, and I've given them this advice which helps them. Number one is cold water baths. I myself have been taking cold water baths for about 6-7 months, I take a big, those baltis that you have, those mother dairy baltis that you buy milk in, yeah. So I take that, I fill it up with 3 liters of water, I put it in the refrigerator, and once it's frozen, I bring it out and I dilute it with 5 liters or 6 liters of normal bucket water, which gives it a decent cold, all right, a decent chill, a decent temperature. And that is going to help you cool down your body, because you're becoming hot, right? Because you're assimilating so much energy that your body is heating up. Because of that heating up, you want to expel that heat. You don't have to expel it, you just have to cool down your body. So cold water baths, especially cold water baths right after you get up in the morning, or cold water baths before you go off to sleep, or cold water baths immediately when you're feeling horny, that will cool you down extensively, alright? When you're feeling that tharak, go and sit in the water, go and have a nice long bath, and that is going to help you tremendously. The other thing that you should do is exercise, some sort of exercise, body movement. It could be dance, it could be... I personally only do push-ups, and I only do pull-ups, and I only do sit-ups, and that is sufficient for me. I don't lift a lot of weights. I do all these things because they keep my body extremely flexible and fluid, and for me personally, I think this is functional strength, as opposed to artificial strength, which just looks good on the outside. I should have that functional strength within. I should understand my body enough to know how many of these things can I do. All right, I should have that much confidence on my body's ability. I should be able to push my body to its limits. For example, start with 20 push-ups, let's say, and gradually in the next week go to 40, and gradually over the next week go to maybe something else, 80 or something. And it's easy. It's easy because you have the energy at this point. You didn't have this energy before because you were wasting this energy, and now you have it at your disposal to use it. It's your battery. All right, you've tapped into unlimited potential energy, and you can do everything that I'm talking about. It's not difficult, but you really have to get off your lazy butt and believe in yourself, not in what I'm saying. These are empty words. Yeah, this is empty words. Experience it. It should be your experiential reality that motivates you towards better choices in life. Only if you see effects should you believe me, or anyone else for that matter. If you want to believe millennial doctors who say take it up the butt, please go take it up the butt. If you feel better after that, very good for you. All right, and sense of humor is something that I haven't obviously lost even after the enlightenment, which is very good. So so take a cold water bath, all right, very good for you. Work out, very good for you, all right. Work out and try to conjunct your breath with your workout. So if you're doing a push-up, let's say, if you're going up, take in a deep breath. When you're going down, exhale fully, and that way you'll come to realize that meditation is not really that difficult, all right. You'll sort of acclimatize your brain to new meditative states for when you gradually and eventually do move towards meditation as your next discipline of choice. Exercise is good, and after exercise, after cold water baths, the third thing would be some form of meditative asana technique, which is in the inverted series, wherein you lay, this is your head, this is your body, and you push your legs upwards, and then you push your body. You try to headstands of some sort or something or the other, where you try to alchemize that energy that you've assimilated. In yogic terms, you're trying to propel it downwards and make it climb to your head. You're making it climb up your spinal column, all right, your kundalini. You're making your energy climb upwards. Till now, you couldn't make it climb upwards because you were wasting that energy and you were letting it loose. Now that you've accumulated that energy, now you can make it climb upwards. All right, so asanas of the inverted series, wherein you put your body upwards and you make that energy climb up your spinal column to your corona, all right. So to your corona. Other than that, meditation, as I said, but before you start meditation, I think exercise might be a good way to go about it, because that will put you in that frame of mind where meditation might become more seamless and easy for you to get into. Mindfulness and all these, I don't understand what people keep talking about. What is mindfulness meditation? I'm a little more traditional in that aspect. So I think of all the meditations that I think will help you cool down your body, and during this time of purging where you are letting go of old useless habits, during this time, one of the meditations that I highly recommend is anything where you're sitting or where you are in the Shambhavi Mudra, where your concentration is in the middle of your forehead and your breaths are synchronized with that. So concentration in the middle of the forehead, breaths synchronized with that. That will help put stress, put physical stress. You know, when you, for example, sometimes I try to understand or make people understand the way I would have wanted to understand, because as a child I found all these things very fascinating yet very difficult to access, because everyone was using different words and I didn't understand. Visualization means the same as imagination. If someone would have told me that before, my life would have been much easier. So body awareness is very easy really. If, for example, this is my finger, if I stress on the tip of my finger, this becomes extremely dense, right? This becomes extremely stiff. All right, I've put my awareness on this. I've put my entire energy on this. Similarly, you put your awareness on this, in the middle of your forehead, so that internally inside your body, your pineal gland starts releasing melatonin. And melatonin is the molecule responsible for dreaming. It's also responsible for your circadian rhythm, for your sleep and wake cycles. Alright, so the brother of melatonin is serotonin, which is something that we all know, which we all talk about, but melatonin is not as much addressed as much. The serotonin obviously is responsible for you feeling happy, and serotonin is released in your brain when you go out and when you look at the sun, for example. When the light of the sun penetrates your eyes, that's when serotonin is released. That's why it's very important to go out in the sun. Which is another thing that I think you should do if you are on the no-fab journey, is to get as much sun as you possibly can. It is very important, right? That photonic energy, those photons going inside your body. Look how I'm lighting up. Wow. Alright, so this photonic energy that will permeate, it'll sink through your flesh, it'll go within your body. That helps with your serotonin. That helps your body produce serotonin. The moment you wake up, you start producing serotonin. That's why it's the waking molecule. And melatonin is the sleeping molecule. Alright? So when you are stressing on your pineal gland, on the cousin of serotonin, when you are stressing on the pineal gland for the cousin, for the melatonin to come out, what you eventually end up doing is you make your reality more fluid, more dreamlike. Melatonin is responsible for your dreams. Your dreams are very fluid, right? You can fly one moment, you could jump from a building the next moment. This melatonin that starts secreting in your waking life as well makes your reality much more fluid. That makes you do things that might otherwise seem impossible or might seem supernatural in some aspects, all right? This creative flow state that you will tap into, where this effortless energy, you won't have to sit down and think what to say next. It will just roll out of your mouth. Right? I've started noticing how my eyes also don't blink as much as they used to before, which is very strange. So, it reminds me of Osho. I like the guy, by the way. Very some of the things that he said I relate to entirely. Some, of course, I don't. Some I do. I think he was spot on about a lot of things. So anyway, so you stress on this part of your forehead and your melatonin starts secreting. And once your melatonin starts secreting, reality is much more flexible. All right? That's what waking in the dream feels like. Now you're awake in reality as a dream. And when reality becomes a dream, miracles and supernatural things are a daily occurrence, because now you're awake in the Matrix Neo. All right, now you're awake. Now you've taken the red pill. Now your red pill is constantly secreting as well. Now you are able to accomplish things that you could not accomplish before. But to accomplish these things, you require discipline. Did not Neo require discipline? He required all these things to be uploaded, but he also required that belief in himself, that he it's not that he can do it. It's that all of it is him. All right. The fork is also him. That's why he could bend the fork. All right. So you could bend reality in subtle ways. And that's what magic is. You could bend reality in subtle ways, where life for you will not be as miserable of an existence as it might be right after you masturbate. All right. It will not be as miserable for you. So to tap into this state, I'll condense everything that I've said to 4 or 5 pointers, and maybe someone can help me and make a few pointers and share, so I can put it in my feed as well. That would be tremendously helpful. Number 1, voluntarily, as I share information with you voluntarily. I'm not asking for money, all right? I'm not some millennial doctor who's asking for funds. Don't send me money. But if it resonates with what I say, resonates with you, please better yourself. Make yourself a better person, better your life, so that you end up making the world a better place as well. All right. So number 1, quit pornography. Delete everything from your computer that has anything to do with perversion. Do not be a fucking pervert. No one likes pervert. If you're a degenerate, fuck you. All right. Don't be a degenerate. Be a better person. All right. Degenerates deserve nothing good. Number 1 in more detail. Number 1, delete all manner of degeneracy from your computer, from your hard drives, from your phones. Do not partake in this, my brothers and sisters. All of you, don't partake in this. All right? It doesn't serve you any good. Learn to love other human beings, not a black box with a movie going on the other side. All right. Also remove yourself from circles that only talk about these things. Remove yourself from friend circles that only talk about sex, that for men especially, if you're hanging out with other men who only talk about how they banged a woman and how this woman is that, I mean, even after last year, even after this year, if you're doing that, then I don't know what to say to you really. I mean, I would pity you. That's all that I could say. Don't hang out with people who don't help you be better people in the end, all right? Don't hang out with people who drag you down to their degeneracy, who have nothing to contribute in a conversation except the same things over and over again. So people who talk about sex all the time, I find them the most annoying sort of people there are. So don't hang out with people, and don't listen to influencers and millennials who are talking about nothing but sex. This is an extension of deleting pornography. All right, number 2, start having cold water baths. All right, don't be a sensitive little, I was going to say pussy, but I understand that it's going to sound a little gynocentrically bad. So don't be a weakling. Don't be a weakling, all right? Don't be a weakling. Have a cold water bath. You don't need the warm water. You don't need to turn on the geyser every now and then. You need a cold water bath. The cold is going to comfort you in infinitely more ways than the warm could ever comfort you. The cold will remind you of the frigid conditions of life. That life is not a smooth sailing geyser that you could turn on and feel, oh, so warm and nice. Alright, so warm and fuzzy. The cold will remind you that the world is frigid. And you need to be strong. Physically, mentally, you need to be strong to handle the world. It's also going to cool down your body in those moments of tharak. Alright. So have cold water baths. The colder the water, the better it is for you. You're not going to die, and you're not going to get asthma, and you're not going to get sick. I promise you, you're going to be stronger. I mean it, you're going to be stronger. As a person, as a man, as a woman, you're going to be very, very dense. Physically, you're going to be strong. Nothing will phase you then. Alright? You would learn to live with less as well. That is eventually going to happen. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to tell you to live a minimalistic life here. Once you start following the discipline that I'm telling you to follow, automatically you will become a minimalist. I mean, you'll still satisfy all of your strange fancies. For example, I have a lot of strange hobbies that I partake in, but overall I don't consume as much, is what I mean. You know, I don't consume as much. It means in every aspect of my life, from food to entertainment, just be less of a consumer. And that's not something I have to tell you. That's something that's automatically going to happen once you follow rule number 2 or 3, wherever I was at, where you start taking cold water baths. Psychologically, you'll just change. It will just happen. All right. Number 3. So cold water baths is good for you. Number 3 is, yes, the inverted asanas. Because if you are practicing, or if you are moving on the lines where you are thinking that you're biohacking, eventually, if you are mature and if you're smart enough, biohacking does not end at science. Biohacking will eventually move you towards esoteric sides, towards meditation and things like that. And meditation and all, unlike what every influencer will tell you, is not something that science will validate. It has been validated for 2000, 3000 years ago. Science does not hold monopoly over validating something like meditation. Alright, serotonin बन रहा है, dopamine बन रहा है, अपने काम से काम रखो, बेकार की बातें मुझसे ना करो. ठीक है? Learn from the ancients, learn from your ancestors. They knew these states of mind better than these modern pseudos with degrees tell you. Alright? But मैं तो अनपढ़ हूँ, मैं तो हर बात में डिग्री ले ही आता हूँ. So that's very important. So when you practice, when you are on the lines of biohacking, eventually you're going to involuntarily, whether you like it or not, you will start understanding that science has limitations and it's not making sense to you as the dopamine and serotonin wala model. What makes sense to you as the next, maybe someday science will always also acknowledge all these things that I'm talking about, but what makes immediate sense, what is available to you right now is what makes immediate sense. So what is available to you right now is the knowledge of the ancients who've been talking about the same things that science now only reaffirms. So it is natural for you and it is logical for you. If you're smart, it's logical for you to not discard, well, to say that science has certain limitations when it's trying to understand meditation, and what the ancients said makes more sense. And one of the things that the ancients said, which let me get to the point, is for inverted asanas, all right, where you put the lower half of your body upwards and you try to make your energy climb up. You don't have to believe it, you just have to practice it. All right, and if you start believing after practicing it, well, then you should say thank you to me. And so do that, do inverted asanas, all right. Do it as a source of fitness, let's say. Don't do it as something that the hippie told you कि उससे तुम्हारी कुंडलिनी जग जाएगी. Do it as a source of fitness, all right. Do it as do it as blood coming to your head. Do it as blood coagulating at your head and improving the circulation of your mind. सोचते तो यहीं से हो ना, तो थोड़ा सा खून यहाँ पे आएगा तो अच्छी चीजें सोचोगे, सोचने में मजा आएगा. ठीक है? So let your body, let the circulation go to your head. And circulation in biological terms and in, of course, esoteric terms, the energy would start climbing up as well. Okay, so that's the third thing that you have to do. The fourth thing that you have to do is, as I said, meditation, but ये science वाला बेकार की फालतू बातें नहीं कि serotonin, ferrotonin वो सब जेब में रखो. ठीक है? Meditation with concentration over here. Serotonin पे हमें ध्यान देना ही नहीं, हमें तो melatonin पे देना है. तो ये लोग क्या बोलते हैं हम लोग कभी समझ में नहीं आता. ठीक है? It's melatonin that is important. So meditation, not serotonin. Serotonin is the byproduct of deeper states of meditation. When your melatonin, when your circadian rhythm is fine, when your circadian rhythm is proper, in alignment, your melatonin will automatically be good. Your dopamine will automatically be good. Meditation से serotonin, dopamine नहीं बढ़ेगा या ठीक नहीं होगा. उससे सिर्फ melatonin release होगा. ठीक है? And byproduct के तौर पे you will feel happier and better as a person. Alright, because serotonin, dopamine levels would also optimize and stabilize and equalize in your neural circuitry. ठीक है? So melatonin के लिए क्या करना है? We have to concentrate in the middle of our forehead, sit down, concentrate in the middle of the forehead, and just be aware of your breaths. Whatever your personal take on figures of authority are, Sadhguru or Shri and all these other people, what I know for sure is that everyone should practice Kriya Yoga. And Kriya Yoga foundationally is based on Shambhavi Mudras and the activation of the pineal. So do that. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to rely on external gurus, then I've recommended a lot of books to you, but even books are relying inherently on some sort of guru, some sort of figure who's condensed this knowledge for your for your tongue, for you to understand it better. Gurus are simply condensers of knowledge, all right? Knowledge already exists everywhere all the time. A guru or a channel is just someone who tries to condense it into words that are more relatable for the average person. And the reason why they're able to do that is because they've alchemized it for themselves through their trauma, through their suffering. They've alchemized that and they've cleared their blockages. Now it makes it easier for them to condense this knowledge and bring it forth for you in a more digestible fashion. All right? And so practice some sort of Kriya. You can find plenty of Kriyas online. For example, Sadhguru does an Isha Kriya, and then I think Sri Shankar as well does some Kriya. Lots of Kriyas that a lot of gurus do. Almost all of them exclusively rely on your ability to open this and start the secretion and make life dreamlike. So look for any Kriya and start practicing it. Just start practicing some sort of meditation that puts your awareness here. Okay? Mindfulness, अपने हाथ का ध्यान, अपने पैर का ध्यान, that's all very good. Alright, that's all very good. But for other states of mind, that's very good for astral travel, for example, if you want to believe in all of that. And lucid dreaming, uske liye mindfulness is very good. But if real life has to be lucid dreaming, then it's awareness over here. Real life has to be lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is lucid dreaming, we know. Alright, real life has to be more malleable as well. So for that, do that. Some sort of Kriya meditation. The fourth, what is it? Am I fourth at fifth? Some sort of number I'm at. Everything is very subjective right now. So at whatever number I'm at, what you need along with the certain things that I've mentioned to you is also some herbal supplementation that is going to help equalize the flow within you, equalize or try to strengthen the broken barriers in your brain because of years of abuse that you've done for yourself. Alright, so it'll try to strengthen those barriers that you've broken. And to strengthen those barriers, the herbal supplements I absolutely recommend. Number one is shilajit. I've been telling people to eat shilajit for years now. People have made fun of me कि हाँ उससे sex बढ़ता है, ये सब बढ़ता है. I don't think people understand these things at all, and I don't like to address these as well. If you are thinking on those lines कि sex के लिए shilajit खाया जाता है, then obviously this is not going to help you because you're already in some other frame of mind. Alright, how it's going to help you? It's condensed minerals. Most of our diets don't have minerals in them. Alright, vitamins तो हम लेते हैं, multivitamins a lot of people eat. But a lot of vitamins, most vitamins don't have the daily requirement of minerals in them. And because there is less minerals in our diet, things like arthritis, things like tooth decay, things like bad eyesight, they're very common. Alright, minerals are the building blocks of life. If you believe in alchemy and if you believe that there's life after death, or if you believe in reincarnation or things like that, the first manifestation of your existence in this world is in the form of mineral. Alright, you come as a rock. Your consciousness, let's say, is filtered through a rock. That's what biblically when they say that a person is going to go hell and burn for all eternity, because inside the earth, the core, alright, it's heated up and it's just minerals burning in that heated core. That's what hell is. Alright, all these books, Bible, things like that, these are all codes to be cracked. So that's what they mean by hell. That when you have bad karma, when you are a bad person, you need to be filtered to become pure again. For that you need to go to hell, which is inside the earth, which is a place of great immense heat. That's where you become a mineral. Isn't that what Rumi said as well? I was once a mineral and then I was this, I was that. So minerals are the building blocks of your human body. Alright, once you reduce the human vessel to everything, all that remains is ash. Ash is just mineral. Ash is just mineral. Remember that. Alright, even that's what chemistry, that's what alchemy is. When you take something solid, I take a flour and I try to condense that flour, I try to distill that flour, and out of that flour comes spirit. You know what is spirit? The oil. Alright, the water, the essence of the plant that I had, the essence of that flour is the spirit. And once you've disintegrated everything of that flour, all that remains is what? is ashes, is minerals. So minerals are the building blocks of the human vessel, the human condition. To keep your human vessel in absolute prime, you must, जैसे मेरे बाल हैं अभी तो बहुत झलझला रहे हैं, but I'm 30, I haven't lost my hair till now, I'm very happy about that. So minerals is also something that I give a lot of credit for that. I've always had a high mineral diet. In intervals, of course, 45 days high mineral diet, and then of course I'll leave it, like all things should. Ayurveda is very particular about these things. Don't take everything indefinitely. Take it for 45 days. Clear one mandala, clear one cycle, and then stop. Let your body recuperate, or let your body streamline, become aware of what it has taken, help utilize it, build the pathways that are needed to utilize it more optimally for the next time, and not have side effects. Majorly to not have side effects. Anything that you're going to use excessively is going to have side effects. So use it for 45 days, stop for a month, start it again, 45 days, stop for a month, start it again, 45 days. That's how everything in life should be. That is what moderation is. So shilajit. I see a lot of people talk about shilajit now. No one was talking about it a few years ago. The reason why I started taking shilajit is because by logic it seemed so natural to me that Sherpas take shilajit, and Sherpas say that they give credit to shilajit for their immense strength. Sherpas are the people who carry immense luggages on the Himalayan mountain tops, Mount Everest, places like that. So they carry 3 times, 4 times their weight sometimes uphill, Not something you and I, it seems supernatural in its ability almost. How do they do that? They say that they take shilajit, and shilajit helps them do that. Inherently, the name shilajit also means shilajit, which means conquering a mountain or conquering a peak. So, shilaon ko jeetna, hai na? So, shila. Alright, so when, to be stronger in your physical body, you need minerals, and one of the minerals that are going to help you with this as well, and with your entire body, is shilajit. Alright, so take shilajit, take very little shilajit, at least like a grain of rice. That's how much shilajit you should take in one sitting. You should take it early in the morning once you wake up and your stomach is empty, with something fatty. I take it with tea. I used to take it with coffee, but it really increased the heat in my body, and it didn't resonate with me well, and my body immediately tells me. There's also something that you should be attuning into your body. Your body immediately almost tells you if there is something wrong or not. You just have to listen to your body. So when I knew immediately that it wasn't working with coffee, I know it works with fat. Alright, and that's what Ayurveda has also recommended as well. Take it with fat. So I take it with tea, and whole milk tea. You can also take it with milk if you can drink milk. So that's also something that you can do. You can take it before bed if you want to, as long as you've been empty stomach for 3 hours. So shilajit, absolutely necessary, something that you should take. The other thing that you should absolutely take is, inherently it's spirulina, but I wouldn't limit it to spirulina. I would say super greens. Get some super greens in your body. Alright, eat green leafy vegetables. If you don't eat green leafy vegetables, then instead of taking whey protein, start taking super greens. Very important for you. Alright, if you can't take super greens, take spirulina. Absolutely something that you should be incorporating in your diet at this point if you haven't already. Don't take artificial melatonin, because it'll increase your chances of sleep paralysis. It'll increase your chances of nightmares. Alright, so don't take artificial melatonin. Melatonin will immediately start secreting the moment you start concentrating in the middle of your forehead. So you don't have to take it artificially. I have taken it artificially, and I can tell you from my mistakes. Alright, so it doesn't work artificially. Don't take it orally. Just try to channel your energies and try to use it within your body. Alchemize it within your body. What you have for free within you should not be paid for externally to get. Alright, happiness is also something that's internal. You don't have to pay anyone to be happy. Alright, a therapist and that's totally your opinion, of course, or a dietitian. Most of the things that you need are already available to you. All that you have to do is do the hard work to do the research and start connecting the dots to see where the lies meet and where the truth intersects. And where the truth intersects, that is something that you should follow. So yeah, these are things that I think you should do if you're on the seminal retention program, if you're on the brahmacharya sort of a path. I don't think, of course, see, sex for pleasure is also something that is good. All right. When you love a person, for example, men and women entirely going their own way is something that seems anti-human to me almost, right? Because we were made to be together, we were made to be near each other, if not together in the traditional sense, but we were made to complement each other. We were not made to become like each other. I don't think that we should become like each other. I think we should be ourselves and respect each other for our differences, because we are different, all right? And in those differences are moments of pure joy and love. And for pleasure also, sex, as I said, it's not wrong, all right? You can, obviously, if you have a loving partner and all of that, you should. For having a child is also something that you should be retaining. Obviously, if you've gone through the many studies that have been published already, that men are becoming infertile. There are no two ways about it. Men are becoming infertile. Right? It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a myth. Men have the lowest testosterone they've had ever. Ever. All right? Ever. So yeah, just try to be mindful of where you're taking that energy and where you're putting it out. Just be mindful of that. And I wish you all the very best. I hope you're all well, and I hope you all stay well. And yes, I love you all, and take care of yourself.